Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Y&Z crew of INCRadio podcast, where we talk about all the things under the sun from A to Z. And of course, I am LJ Palomeno, all the way here from the heart of Canada, where Canada heart beats, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
And also, I'm Brother Christian coming to you live from the Big Apple here in New York City. And we're back with brand new content for you all and so many exciting topics for the year 2023.
That is right. It's Breaking with a J, Jake in Australia, coming to you live from Malaysia. So, speaking of that, for today's episode, the hosts of the Y and Z crew is here to talk about habits to develop in 2023, di ba, Ate LJ? And of course, joining us today, sino pa ba, Ate LJ?
Siyempre, madami tayong magagandang host, 'di ba? Siyempre,
Well,
kayo
talaga.
din nandito sa mga
Magaganda.
poging host.
Totoo ba?
Magaganda din
Oo.
sila.
Sino pa ba nandito? Oh, si Angelica
I think
nandito. Hi, Angelica!
I think go with or who do we go to?
We have a meron tayong sequence.
Sige, ako na.
Mali. Balik ka natin sa Angelica mamaya. Doon muna tayo sa pinakamalayo. Sa Australia.
Sige, ako na nga. Yeah, you know when Jaken said his name, he's like, I'm Jaken Australia. I'm like, did you say Australia? Anyway,
Australia.
that's a nice segue. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I am your Ate Chloe here from the land down under. I'm your Sheila from the land down under from Adelaide, Australia, and that's so exciting. Happy New Year, everybody. Who else do we have? Hello, Ate Ina.
Hello everyone. And here goes the question, kumain na ba kayo? Kain na po from Cavite. And I've missed everyone. Happy New Year. Hope you all had
Happy New Year, everyone.
kamusta naman yung mga handa nyo ng New Year? I hope masarap.
Ubus na.
And
Di ba halata, ate?
Ubus na, masarap. Madaming handa. Sumobra yung handa eh.
Marami
Gusto
ng
tayo
leftovers. Anong gusto ng leftovers?
yeah. And we also have Ate Angelica, of course.
Uy, wow.
Sure
What's
ka?
up, everybody? It's your podcast host, Sister Angelica, all the way here from New Jersey. And of course, we are going to go already into our topic. So, at the Chloe?
Yeah, and of course, what we're going to be talking about today is the habits to develop in 2023 based on our personal experiences. And you know what? Based in the New York Times Post, BJ Foggs, a Stanford University researcher and author, he said to start small with our habits. Small and achievable, isn't that right, Ate Ina?
Yeah, actually, that's a really good tip, Ate Chloe. Kasi when we start small, that's the easiest thing to do kasi. Like, for example, you want to stay hydrated for the entire year. And I know someone wants to do that for 2020. You can take small steps, like add your intake slowly day by day. And you monitor it, of course, so that you can keep track of your progress.
Yeah, tama yan, Ate Ina. And there were other few tips. I can't speak today. There were other few tips that what was said on the article, like maybe make the new habit you're trying to create a very simple one. So something along the lines of keeping it small and achievable, but also having a reward system for yourself. Rewarding yourself means that you have the motivation to do something, to keep going with something and to keep improving on that until that habit or that ultimate goal that we want is achieved. So for example, if you want to work out, maybe work out 10 minutes a day. And then after 10 minutes, then maybe you can have some food
burger
as a reward. No? I was gonna say burger.
Diba?
Only rice. Only rice.
2 cups of rice. Literally, what you burned at the gym, you're eating it back.
Yeah,
No, sorry.
Di ba yung ganun yung nakakainis? Parang, especially in the Philippines, I remember, pag magja-jogging kami in a park, tapos pag nandun ka na sa may dulo, may fast food.
Yeah.
May reward.
So be careful about the reward. Not too much. Reward yourself, but not too much.
That's it.
maybe after you completed 30 minutes of exercise, that's when you can get unleave.
Kain for 30 minutes ulit.
Hindi na may double yung pasok ng food.
Exactly. But you know,
Alright.
everybody, we it's not just our conversation that we want to hear. We also want to hear your conversations as well, right in the live chat, right at the end.
Yeah, so if our viewers and listeners right now have any habits that they want to develop this 2023, just let us know in the comments in the live chat so that we can also talk about your habits or the things that you want to develop as a habit this year. But first, let
Mhm.
us
Exactly.
ask everyone here. Anyone who wants to share first, what specific habit they want to achieve or develop for this
Oh.
year?
You know what? There's like
Hmm.
so many habits. Like,
I know.
but I feel like to me this year was one of the things that I wrote down on my list was being financially smart. I
Wow.
know that, like we hear about inflation and all that
Mm,
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the last couple years, since I started working, I feel like I've been just enjoying what I've been earning. So I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna enjoy it. I came straight out of high school. I'm just gonna enjoy my money, buy whatever I want. So I feel like now that I'm almost 3 years into my career, I feel like this is
Mm.
where I'm starting to think about, oh, saving up for
Mm.
a car maybe, or
mm,
but I've been starting pretty small so far. I started putting away a certain amount of money from my sueldo or my paycheck,
yeah.
Yeah.
to put away into my savings account, and then at least in the future, because I am planning to go back to school, so maybe while I'm
Wow.
out of school, I'll just
Mhm.
use up that money to, provide for myself somehow. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a part-time job. Like, I'm gonna keep my job as of right now, but I'll go part-time. But I obviously want to make sure I focus on, you know, going back to school, because I do want to go back for
Mhm.
dentistry. So,
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Dr.
Oh.
LG.
Dr.
Dr.
LJ
Agree
oh,
agad.
aspiring to
Aspiring.
it.
Oo.
We're getting there. Aspiring. Diba?
Yeah, I think I like when we become financially independent, sort of starting to budget like that. I always hear the 50-20-30 rule. I don't know if
Mhm.
you've heard
Right.
of that, where
Yes.
Not yet.
50% of it you kept, I don't know, 50% of it
Like
you
a ways of budgeting. I
Wait
have
lang,
Hello.
ah.
It's like another
wait
form of
lang,
Credibility.
wait
tax,
Oo.
lang.
right?
Like 50% of it you use for like necessities like groceries,
mm-hmm.
maybe paying
Mhm.
off for a car. 30% of it you save off from to another place. 20% off, like 20% you actually save off for something big like a car, or
Mhm.
a house, a potential house when you're older. Just a way to save up, because I think that's how we make it achievable. We can't just get our paycheck, for example, and be like, okay, well, we're just gonna work with what we've got,
Yeah.
wing it kind of
Yeah.
thing. I think it's a really good way to discipline ourselves. I think that's the thing with saving money, is that we do have to be disciplined. I know we like
Discipline,
we like to
yeah.
shop
Definitely.
around and see and like window
Right.
shop, and
You know,
then
Yeah.
when Ate LJ mentioned something about being financially smart this year, what came in my mind was trying to use my credit card a lot less than what I did last year.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
true.
I
Is that
that's
one of your
actually one
list?
of yeah, that's actually one of my goals too. For or the habits that I want to get into for 2023 is use my
Mhm.
credit card a lot less than what I did last year.
Yeah, and also to use it
Um,
wisely.
Yeah, use
yeah,
it
Yeah. Keep
wisely.
track
But
of all your
it's
purchases.
wala
also
munang online shopping ngayon, guys.
but
Yeah.
also
Mm,
it's
that's
Keep
a
track
that's
very
an
away.
excuse
good.
for
It's
online
good when
shopping.
you do use your credit card, but in a reasonable way so that you can
Yeah.
build
Mm-hmm.
credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, like
So
you
Yeah.
know your
maybe
limits.
yeah.
Mm.
So that's why, like, when I said being financially smart, I also like started talking to like financial advisors,
Mm-hmm.
like about, like how to build a credit, because I know
Mm,
like me and my family want to get a house in the future. So, I want to be able to help before I do go back to school, and also
yeah.
build my credit, because that would be good for the future if anything.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, that's a really good
Yeah.
goal. I feel like that's something that, we always think about when we're like in our 20s, when we're starting to grow
yeah.
up, becoming adults.
Right.
It's just like
At
it's just one
first,
of
Yeah,
those
to,
things.
to our
yeah, at
viewers
first,
out there, especially if we're not, I know here in INC Radio Podcast, we got those
Mm,
the younger viewers, especially the ones in our generation, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
Um, if you didn't know, but once you hit your 20s, it is a rough road. And
Oh, yeah.
once
It's a lot of
you get
learning.
out of
no,
high
it
school,
It's a
is.
lot of
It
learning.
is.
Even though I'm not
once
20
you
yet, it's a
yeah,
Yeah.
lot of
once you
learning.
get into college or when you start uni for the first time, it's you
Expensive.
really you
Yeah.
really you need to think about these life-changing choices, and that really it really affects you on an everyday basis. And
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
why we got to start being smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was your
And we
experience
don't
in
want
that?
to.
Ate Ina. Ay, sige, ate. Ano?
Oh no, I was just gonna say like I don't want to scare off like Bacon because we just said, oh, in our
Ay,
twenties it's gonna
oo.
It's
be a
too
rough
Parang
road.
it's a tough,
Yeah.
tough world.
It's a tough
Yeah.
time. I haven't even
17 pa lang
existed.
I
ako.
I'm
mean,
scared.
I mean, Jacob, look at us. Like we're on a rough road in our twenties,
Striving.
but look at us laugh and be happy.
We're
You
Yeah.
know,
thriving.
it's not that it's not all bad, but you just kind of learn how to
No.
manage it
No.
Mhm.
along the way, and you just kind of learn based on your experience, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
hard. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, but
We
You
also
just gotta
yeah,
forget
make
that
You're gonna
like
learn a lot.
Angelica
yeah,
is also
you
not
really just
20
gotta
yet.
start learning how
Yeah,
to
I'm
make
not
smart
20.
It's
decisions.
not
Yeah,
just
she's still
Jacob.
17.
I'm
Jacob
not
is 20.
20. I'm not 20. But you know what? One thing I did learn actually is that 18 is not actually an adult age. Like
Yeah.
legally you're an adult,
You're
but you
legal. You're
literally have
here.
nothing. You
See,
have nothing.
here in the
You have
states.
nothing.
Yeah,
You
here in
don't
the
have
states,
anything.
you're considered an adult when you're 18. So, but you're
Mm.
not
But the responsibilities of it, it doesn't really start until you actually start having your own independence. Like for
yeah,
example,
yeah.
actually having your own job, having your own means of income. Because I was
Yeah,
honestly so scared of turning 18. I thought like all the adult responsibilities were gonna come. And one of the
Like,
yeah,
biggest lessons
bigla
that
ang
I
shift.
learned,
Akala
yeah,
mo.
big lang
Yeah.
shift.
Mm.
But then I realized, you know what? It's still
it's a
I'm still only
transition.
18. Yeah. It's
Mhm.
really just right now for me, it's just my focus is just uni, just going to
Yeah,
school right now. You know, it's not really like
Mm.
buying a house, you know, all those big
like
steps.
Yeah,
investment.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
those big investments. Not really yet. And also like adulting is just a never-ending cycle of learning, to be honest. You
Yeah.
learn
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
honestly.
many lessons
yeah.
along the way.
You
It's
don't
not
really
one
feel
thing that it's not overnight. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you don't really feel the transition until like you're actually in your 20s.
Hmm.
Like 18 and 19 are sort of like the days where you're just like kind of floating, should I say?
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
honestly.
school and
I
like you're
didn't
like
know what I was doing
When
when I
I
was
first
yeah,
18,
my
like you
first
don't know
two
what
19.
years
you're
of
doing.
my first 2 years of uni, that was like, yeah, it's very chill, very relaxed. Still stressed, but still relaxed at the same time.
Yeah.
Then comes third year, and then I'm like, whoa, slow down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you start turning. When I turned 20, 21, I was like, wow, time is flying by so fast right now. I needed things to slow down. I
Yeah.
was like, you really just keeps you on your toes all the time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pero di ba
Yeah.
parang iba-iba naman ang experience, especially sa Philippines, alam na naman natin yung
Yeah, it also
tradition ng,
depends where you're
Yeah, it
from.
depends on where
yeah.
you're from too. Yeah,
Sa'yo
for
ba, Ate
sure.
Ina? Kasi syempre, you grew up in the Philippines and you know the
Mm.
condition of
Actually, dito sa Philippines, it's a lot the same. In a sense kasi na, 'di ba, in other countries we do believe that when people turn 18, they already become independent and they already move out from the house usually and
yeah.
stuff like that. Pero dito sa Pilipinas, even if you're in your 30s, parang ano ka pa rin eh, you're still the precious child of your
Your
parents.
parents. Yeah.
So there's still this strong bond within the family. Kaya ayun, pero same problems arise like yung sinabi ni Ate LJ na we do have concerns about financial stability, especially when you reach 20, mid 20s and then 30s. And it's a lot harder these days na mag-ipon, mag-invest because prices of everything are so high compared
Mm.
before sa mga
Expensive,
previous
yeah.
Yeah.
generations. Kaya siguro mas matagal yung transition right now kasi it's quite hard to start earning and then investing at the same time. But it's quite different per person din talaga eh. Kasi there are Gen Zs, there are teens or early 20s na nakakapagpundar na agad ng malaki because they have the means, diba?
Yeah.
It's
Privilege.
Yeah.
still quite
Yeah.
different
Mm.
based on your situation.
Ikaw naman, Ate Ina, ano naman yung habits na gusto mong gawain for 2023?
Ayun, for this 2023, actually, itong goal na to or habit na gusto ko ma-develop is something that I wanted to adapt from you guys. Kasi nakita ko yung
Huh?
how you organize things.
Wow.
Wait,
Ay,
teka.
wait lang,
Teka,
wait lang,
wait,
wait lang.
teka.
Naman ako
Wait
dun.
lang ako.
Thank you.
Teka, wait a minute.
Naiyak na
Maraming
ako.
salamat.
Wait.
Thank you. Ano yun? Ano yun? Ano yun?
Yeah,
Organize na tayo.
we are.
Wala tayo.
Nagtatry
You guys
lang.
are.
Try lang
Ate Ina,
yan.
please
Parang hindi ko
define,
napansin.
please define organize in this group.
Yeah. No, what I wanted to say is I wanted to create or develop a habit of creating a schedule in the calendar and actually following it. At
Mm.
yung meron kang task list or
Yeah.
deadlines na definite, and then of course not just setting those deadlines on paper, pero
Actually
actually
meeting them.
doing the steps para ma-accomplish siya. Kasi
Yeah.
Yeah.
'di ba, you guys are mostly studying. Ako naman,
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently working. And yung work experience ko right
And
now, it's flexible. Pero kasi when you're too flexible sa work mo and sa time mo, parang you lose track of whatever you're doing din eh, if
mm-hmm.
you're not too
Mm.
careful.
Ah.
So what I wanted to do is to plot the schedules wisely and to actually follow those blocks
Those
or meetings
kids.
or
To like
appointments.
create a
Para,
schedule
Yeah.
for yourself, Ate, like for the
Like a
yeah,
day.
realistic.
yeah.
Mm.
And
So,
Yeah.
also like
so
self-discipline too when it comes
yeah,
to managing your time and like
Yeah.
actually completing your assignments and all your
That's
tasks,
true.
right?
Mm.
Yeah. I
Exactly.
mean, I just want to piggyback on that because I actually already did that starting last year, 2022.
Mm.
You
How
Mm-hmm.
know,
was it?
really, it
How'd
was
it
very,
go?
I
you know,
know.
it was
I know you
very,
always talk
Succeed?
about that. I
yeah,
love it
I
when you
mean,
talk about this.
yeah,
When
because
you tell your friends, "Oh, hey, this is my schedule for the month. Please send me your schedule."
yeah, no, but it's true. Like, the system that I created for myself, it really depends on the person, the way that you're creating your own schedule. But to really be strict with the calendar that you're putting things
mm,
on your calendar, whoever you want to hang out with, like for all my friends, like at the LJ said, I give out my schedule a month before and I tell
Mm.
them, hey guys, if you want to hang out with me, this I'm free on the weekends. I give them my free days. If you guys want to hang out after class or after work, let me know, put in a date, and then I stick to that schedule. Whatever they tell me, then I'll do that. They're included in the schedule. And then I fill in the rest of my week with whatever I have to get done for school, for work. And then of course, most importantly, church work. I feel like all of us have a lot of things to balance when it comes to that stuff too. So, to be able to stick to a schedule, you really just gotta do it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
And that must require so much like self-control, self-discipline
That's
because
so true.
there are
Right.
times when like things are like, oh, maybe you can like fit me in this kind of in this schedule and you're like you're really tempted, but
Mm.
you're like, I'm
yeah,
Sometimes, I mean,
sorry.
again, it depends on the person. Like for me, if
Yeah.
someone wants to ask me, "Hey, can you fit me here?" Like, you look at your calendar and see if it's
You
And
flexible,
you
try
and if,
your
try.
see
best.
if
You're
you
not
could
just
Yeah.
gonna be
adjust
like,
things.
you have
no.
your negotiables
Yeah,
and non-negotiables.
but it's
Yes.
also,
Mm.
at the end to also bring up the point. It's you got to know what your priorities are also for
Mm,
whatever you're
Mhm.
putting on your calendar. So
Yeah.
what for me, I always do whatever's due soonest. That's what I have to get done, and that's the most
Yeah.
strict schedule. I won't be touching that at all. I won't be moving that if something is due. For example, tomorrow, I'm gonna get that done today if that's on the schedule. So I'm not
Yeah.
moving or squeezing anybody in within that time slot, so I can get that out the way.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
takes us out from like, doing things last minute or sort
yeah,
of
Analysis
compensating,
paralysis.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
compensating for like, the
the lost
quality just because
time.
we procrastinated so much.
Yeah.
But oh no, I think I see myself in that now. Joke lang.
Ikaw pala
No,
yung
and like
tinutukoy mo rin. Ah.
procrastination
But
is such a like big thing too. It's
yeah.
like it's hard to kind of like if you have been sort of that way for a while, it's kind of hard to
Mm,
just
A
like
long
break the
time
chain.
to
Like you have
combat.
to do it in small
Yeah.
steps.
But
yeah,
also it's like if you like what you're doing. So I know for me, if I actually like the assignment that I'm being given, I'll actually do it
Do
Yeah.
it
and
right
Yeah.
away,
like
no?
relatively fast. But if I don't like
yeah.
it, I'll just keep pushing it off. Ayoko tong gawin.
Yeah.
Wait
Next time
lang.
And
na
that's
lang.
a
Si
lesson.
si Ate
Reschedule,
to our
reschedule.
viewers, si Ate Angelica kasi, if you've heard of selective hearing, sa kanya selective choosing.
Selective choosing.
Selective choosing.
Kung
It's
ano lang yung
like
gusto niya gagawin.
that
Oo.
that's sort of the
Eh, joke
lesson
lang,
that
joke
we
lang.
all have. It's like do what you actually enjoy, especially when it
Mhm.
comes to uni, because you
Mhm.
already like invested so
Yeah,
much time and effort and
And
money
money.
into
And
studying
money.
Money.
something. You might as well enjoy it. I think
yes,
that's
Yeah.
yes.
the one bit of advice I give to like anyone who just graduated off of high school. I know that they're really scared of changing their mind, but don't be scared to change your mind. There's always going to be time. If you want to change degrees, they're like you it's never too late, especially
Yeah.
when I know people my age that are currently dragging themselves finishing this degree, and I'm
Even
like
though.
and I'm like just change, like there's nothing wrong with it. I
Yeah.
think that's a
And I
habit that I oh yeah, go on, Nate.
sorry, Ate Chloe. No, like, cause I feel like sometimes what stops people from changing their degrees, like what you said, it's a lot of time and money
Some
that you
effort,
invest.
parang
I think number
panghinayang.
one, yeah, number one is the money, and like nahihinayang sila, or like you feel
Like,
like,
oh, I
oh, I
already
so
did
like,
it.
so I just
Like it's a
wasted
Yeah.
waste.
time
Yeah.
here.
Tapusin ko na
But
But
lang.
imagine the stress
Oo.
afterwards.
Pero yeah,
yeah,
Sobrang taxing
I'm
sa
glad that
sarili.
you brought that up at the LJ because for me, one of my habits this year for 2023 that I want to do for myself, besides being hydrated and also getting all of my,
Yes.
my fitness
It's just
goals
all
in
of it's
there.
about Christian.
Right,
Yeah.
oo.
No. But I'm serious. Like, when you brought that up, one of the habits I actually want to do is do more self reflections from time to time this year.
Yeah.
To actually take more time to myself to sit down and to think about the future. Like, think ahead just for that moment and see what I can do, how I can reach the goals that I have for myself in the upcoming future. And I feel like for us, especially in our generation, we have so much on our plate that sometimes we don't know where to start.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Right?
right.
Yeah.
overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, diba?
You're like,
Nakaka-relate naman.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
like, I look at that's why sometimes I'm scared to create a list for myself on what I need to do, because I'm like, oh
You'll
You
see
don't
no,
know
so
where
like
to
much
there's
that you
so
begin.
much
It's
stuff.
gonna be the
Oo.
and then you'll
longest
be
list.
Yeah.
unmotivated to do it because
Yeah.
you're overwhelmed with how much you have to
Yeah.
do.
No, that's something that I experienced last year. It was really bad because that's the same fear that I had, where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna remember, and then in my brain I already have a to-do list. But
Make a mental
something,
list.
But
yeah,
something
exactly.
you really
It's
need to.
always about making it like bite-sized pieces, things like
Mhm.
that won't overwhelm me too much. For me, it was categorizing everything to the smallest detail. It was always, for example, with my duties, it was always, okay, what do I need to do for the choir? That's one list. And then after that, what do I need to do for radio? What do I need to do for district kadiwa? um and I found that that worked for me. Again, it's to everyone's, like, to what's the saying,
Lifestyle.
whatever floats your
Okay.
boat,
Yeah.
Yeah.
essentially.
Mhm.
Yeah, whatever.
And you know, I don't also don't be intimidated by other people's like study
Study
plans,
techniques.
organization
Oo.
skills,
Right.
because
Yeah.
everyone has their own way. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
something, like, you know,
It
there's
might
so
not work.
many videos that you see where everyone has like the neatest notes and all everything's
Yeah.
color coded, but in reality, for example, for me, I don't have that time. I
Yeah.
don't have the luxury
You have
of
to
time.
focus on how you learn, not how other
Mhm.
Exactly.
people learn.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
focus
Yeah,
on your
sense.
own style. And
Yeah.
I actually wanted to share a lot of people na more on the creative side kasi they do have this specific time na parang dumating na sa kanila yung inspiration and then everything flows in. Kaya
Yeah.
Mhm.
sometimes they have to wait for that moment for them to create something or work on something. Kaya it's quite tricky din talaga. But
Yeah.
it's really helpful to create a schedule and other stuff. But when it comes to creating something na out of passion, just like that, uh,
Yeah.
that's quite
Sometimes it
Yeah.
just
different. Actually.
just
It just
comes na.
comes to you.
Yeah,
Just comes na.
Yeah.
sometimes.
Pero
The
minsan nakakalito rin eh kasi minsan hindi mo alam kung darating ba 'to o hindi.
Yeah.
So, might as well
Yeah.
might as well ano na
That's the
parang
catch.
instead of waiting for a perfect time, might as well do it right now.
Just do it
Like then
now.
Like you kind of
oo, 'di
force
ba?
Yeah.
yourself to go into that like mind space of like
Yeah.
you're gonna hit
Yeah.
a inspiration
Mm.
somewhere,
That
and then
is
it
me
just
when
comes.
I'm at uni. So when I'm studying, I always do this thing where I'm like, I look at the time. For example, it's like
Ah.
10:32. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait till the next like half hour. I'm gonna wait till 11, and then
Oo.
straight at
Oh, it's
11, I'm gonna
11:02.
start doing work.
And then
Like,
pagdating ng
no.
11, oh,
Oh,
You
exactly.
knock
I'm gonna
out.
wait till 11:15. You know,
Oo.
it doesn't have to
Shut
be
up.
zeros and fives at the end of your clock,
Yeah, and
everybody.
Yeah.
Like, start
that's
now
analysis
when
paralysis.
you
Yeah.
think about
And when
it.
there's no inspiration just yet, you can work on other things. Siguro,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
to
Yeah,
maximize your
it'll
Focus
come
on
to
other
you
things.
once you get something started. Yeah.
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 Kaya
And then
sobrang
you'll
hirap
just be in
talaga
the
ng first
zone.
step.
Yeah,
Diba?
like just get a
Mhm.
momentum
Like taking
going.
the first step.
Just
like
take the first step.
Yeah.
Our first episode.
Like our first
Like
ever
our first
episode,
episode.
taking the first step.
Sobrang
And
totoo
first
yun.
episode, speaking of first episode, this is our first episode of the year.
Happy
Ayun nga! Grabe.
I can't believe like we're here now. Like when did we start doing
Yeah.
podcasts? Like
July.
July, and now
July.
we're
Happy
here.
6 months.
Malapit na din mag
Uy.
1 year
Seven?
tayo.
Happy month,
Lapit
month.
na yun.
Malapit na. Malapit na mag 1 year podcast.
Happy tayo mag
Yeah.
Konti na
We,
lang.
as-
konti
we
na lang.
were assembled last May 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look at us now. We're
We're
like
at 7.
BFFs.
We're
We're
on
8
pink.
months old.
On Tuesdays, we were pink. Di ba?
Oh, look at us. Look how cute we are.
Was it?
Okay,
Wait,
Okay,
I
okay.
swear, when we were planning this out, I was so lost earlier before we started recording because I'm like, are we supposed to wear pink? Like, why is everyone wearing pink?
Why
So
is
I
everyone
remember-
wearing pink? But it's not planned. It was planned.
That's one of my other habits for 2023, not to be absent-minded.
Just to check my messages.
check my messages always.
Check the group
Yeah.
chat.
Check
Check
on
mo
my
yung
list.
talagang chat na naka-mute dyan.
Yeah,
Oo
exactly.
nga eh.
Do you ever just like read a message and you reply in your head, but
Yeah.
don't?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the time.
And then people get
sometimes
mad at
You
you.
type it and then you don't send.
You
like
don't
in your
send
mind,
it.
you sent it, but
You
it's still
already-
there.
Sabi ko, hala, ba't may drafts ako?
It's not even in the draft.
Oh, di ba? Sometimes it's
It's
just in your
the
head.
mind. You're
Just
like,
in your
okay,
head,
cool.
yeah.
These
Yeah.
people, akala nila, hindi mo sila pinansin. But, what? Nag-reply ako
No,
ah.
I pinansin
Sino
you.
ka pala?
I pinansin you.
Pinansin.
I
you.
pansin
Si Jaycon
you.
gusto mapansin, guys.
Uy. Uy.
I think we can
Okay, wait,
create
wait.
a segment where we expose how many unread messages we have or how many
Oh,
unread
you know who
we
it'll
have.
be? It'll be
Oh,
Christian.
no.
It'll be
That.
Christian for sure.
Wag
Saw
na.
his
I
phone.
think nakita
think
ni
we
Chloe,
need a
I think
technique for
nakita ni Chloe yung pagpunta ko sa Australia. I think she saw my phone and she was like, "Ala, ang
was so
dami mong
disturbed.
email."
I was so disturbed. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, emails.
why?
It's
Why do you
always
have
my
unread
emails. Like if you
emails?
go on my phone, you'll see my emails. Just so
That's why I don't sign in my email on my phone.
no.
just
Because
Oh.
it's
I have
too
so many emails
overwhelming.
too. Yeah, I have a lot of emails.
Yeah.
Pero
Sometimes
Nice.
anyway,
it's pure
guys,
ad.
wait.
Our next
So-
habit is not to be distracted in 2023.
wait, si Jaycon pa hindi pa nakapag-share. So,
Yeah.
Kuya
Ay, ako
Jaycon,
ba?
Jaycon na.
ano yung
Ano yung habit mo?
habit mo?
Jaycon with a B.
Jacob with a B.
Kuya Bacon.
They actually, related with what we are talking kanina pa, no? Mine is, yung eating the frogs. Eating, hindi yung palaka. Hindi ako kumakain. Hindi yung legit nakakain ako ng palaka.
Wow,
Ano
but,
pala ka?
but that's something I
Yeah.
do want to try. Apparently,
Yeah.
Iba yun ah.
good.
Yeah, like,
Masarap
eat
pala
the-
ka eh.
Hindi yung palaka. I mean, masarap naman talaga yung palaka. It tastes like chicken. Pero yung eat the frogs is one of the things that I've learned from our co-host in Wow with Bob, si Mommy Mai. Sabi niya, yung eat the frogs is it's basically a 15-minute productivity things that you can do in the morning. So parang yung mga small things, small tasks lang. For example, breathing exercises in the morning, toothbrush, or kaya everything that you can do in small bites. You have to at least maximize them in the morning or kung anong time man yan. So parang gusto ko yung sinabi natin kanina na parang you really have to identify which is which pagdating sa mga tasks. So yung mga Ayan, so naghaga
Kasi
okay.
binawi
Wait lang.
niya eh. Sabi morning. Tapos biglang sabi ni Bacon. Or anytime.
Anytime.
Morning person this year na.
Pero mas maganda kasi mag-eat ka ng frog in the morning daw talaga.
You know what? I was
siguro-
gonna ask. I was
That's
gonna
part of
ask.
the
So where
task.
does the frog come into this?
Yeah, where's the frog?
Hindi, ganito kasi yun.
Pumunta siya ng supermarket.
Oo nga, where's
Tapos
the
bumili ng
burger?
palaka, tapos niluto.
Oo.
Hindi,
ganito
lumabas
kasi
lang
yun.
siya. Doon lang.
Kasi
Sa
lumabas
market
eh.
nila.
Labas na.
Kumuha lang siya
Wait
ng
lang.
plakate.
Eto na kasi yun.
One at a time.
Wait lang
okay.
kasi.
Sige, sige.
Di ba kanina
Go ahead.
parang we
Nagagalit
talked
yung
about...
bunso. Oh, nagagalit yung
Oo.
bunso. Tama.
Wait lang. Di ba kanina parang we talked
Hindi pala
about...
kayan.
Stop!
Talon nga, Jaycon. Talon.
Oo, eto na. Sasabihin ko na kung bakit frog. Kasi di ba sinabi natin kanina, we really have to identify what to prioritize, kung ano ba ano parang hiwalayin natin yung mga tasks natin. So frogs are basically yung mga small tasks mo lang na pwede mo siyang magawa first thing in the morning or kung ano oras ka gigising. And then, yung mga malalaking tasks na you eat it at na parang kainin mo siya ng paunti-unti is yung elephant. So, iba naman yung eat the elephant. May ganong concept. So, there's eat an elephant, which
Grabe
is
yun
your
ah. Ang
big
laki.
task that you would eat, parang bite size. And then yung frogs naman is yung tatapusin mo na agad siya, agad-agad. Yung matatapos na agad ng mga tasks. Pero mabilis lang.
I get
Frog.
it.
Lagi namang mali.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Makinig.
that's actually
Hindi
an
ko alam.
that's an interesting phrase. I've never heard eat the frogs.
Eat
Like,
the
I've
real
frog. I
elephant.
learned something
Yeah.
today.
I've
Yeah.
read it from
Na-
a
yung
book.
phrase na eat the frogs lang, narinig ko kay Papa. Sabi niya, eat the frog. Ayun.
Eat the frog. Yeah.
Literally,
No, no,
frog.
that's an interesting phrase. Thank you for sharing, Kuya Jaycon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Oh,
But I
ngayon,
wanted to know why
ngayon,
frog. There's a lot of
Ang dami
other
mong,
smaller
ano,
animals.
oo, pero
Yeah.
wala eh. Yun yung nabasa namin, frogs daw. Eh di, let's eat the frog.
Let's eat the frogs. What's wrong with that?
Okay, so
Ate
si
Angelica naman,
Ate,
may eat the frog
Ate
kaya
Angelica
siya.
na naman. Hello, Ate Angelica. Kumusta
Hello.
ka?
Okay.
Eat
So
the snake.
Ibang animal. Iba-iba yung animal. No, so the habit that I want to develop for 2023 is actually positive self-talk. That's the biggest one. I think that in
I am beautiful.
I am
I
good.
think
Angelica
I am
Amore.
Sige.
Felony.
Sige, ikaw na, LJ, ikaw na.
Oh no, New Jersey.
I think that 2022, when I turned 18, I realized that over the years, the pressure on me has definitely increased. I feel like as I get older, the more accomplishments you have, for example, graduating high school, people start setting expectations of your future. And I think for me, I just have a lot of expectations on me and a lot of pressure on me. And I think sometimes, I don't approach it in a positive way. Sometimes I think to myself in the way that I talk to myself is like, oh, I don't think you can do this, like it's too much, it's too this. And so I really want to focus on speaking to myself positively and just just to encourage myself more, because I think it's like really important that we develop really positive self-talk so that way we develop a more positive mentality and outlook on life in general. Because I think also growing up now, the thing that I really wanted to do is just love my life. I think that is like something that
Yeah.
all of us need to learn, honestly, to love our
Yeah.
own lives, because I think that for us, we're so drowned in social media and we're so focused on what everybody else is doing. And
Yeah.
so when you speak to yourself positively, when you look at your life positively, you'll learn to slowly love your life and love who you are and just really appreciate, what you have. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that's definitely going to make my year a lot better. So that way I approach things with, a grateful mindset. Whether things are good or bad, I'm able to stay
Yeah.
positive
I
and
love
have a good year.
that.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's
And even
great.
like giving yourself a pat on the back.
The back.
That's
Yeah.
one of the things that I've done a lot in 2022. I always share this when I go on like Faith and Melody. And I always tell them, like even though you get a small task done today, like that's
Mhm.
already a good start for you. I
Celebrate
know
small
sometimes,
wins.
yeah, like
Yes. No,
sometimes even
really.
getting out of bed is a big task for someone.
It
And
goes a
if
long
they
way.
did get up, yeah, if they did get up that morning, like that's already like a big step towards whatever they want to accomplish that day. So, like little things like that, just being able to get up from your bed is at a big task for you and you did it,
Yeah.
then that pat yourself
Like,
on the
good for
back. Like it's
you.
a good job. Yeah, good for you. Like
So what you're
literally.
saying is, if I just put one foot in the door at the gym and then walk back out, that means feeling
Like
accomplished, right?
you
Yeah,
you
that's a
You did
big thing.
that.
That's
At
progress.
least you were there. At least
I'm
your foot
so
was in the
proud of
gym.
you.
At least you were in the gym.
At least you were in the gym. You may not have worked out, but your foot was in the
It's a
gym.
step
Oh,
there.
I was there.
You
Wala na
literally
yun.
Yeah. You could literally tell others, yeah, I just went from the gym. Yeah.
you
I'm happy.
literally
First
took
step.
the first step. Exactly.
Yeah, you
You
literally
literally
took the
took the
first
first step.
You took the first step, pero only one step. Yung first step.
Exactly.
Yeah, the
That's
one
it.
Yun ang nasundan.
You guys are crazy. You took it way too literal.
Yeah, like look what we did with the frog. We're like,
Yeah.
we eat like a
Frog.
leg a day. We eat the leg in the morning, the other leg in the
In the
afternoon,
afternoon. Yeah.
and
No,
the
but
rest in the evening.
to our viewers out there, it's just how we are here on INC Radio Podcast.
Yeah.
This is like
Yeah.
They think
this is
everything literally.
we are literally a family here. So if even off air, this is how we talk.
This is exactly how we
This
were.
is
how we
literally how
are.
we are. Like, there's no like sometimes doesn't even feel like we're recording an episode because this is literally just how we
It's just
Yeah,
how we
Yeah,
talk to
exactly.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm
Okay,
really proud
so-
of you, Angelica. That's a really good mindset to have. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think that having a
Yeah,
positive
man.
mindset.
Ron,
I think
come on.
no, it's just because it's something that I also feel passionately about. I was really tough on myself, especially when we have so many things to balance. It's hard to be.
Right.
It's sometimes hard to say like, oh, at least I'm doing this. Like I'm proud of myself for doing this. I think I'm the only one who hasn't shared my habit yet. But
Yeah,
that's
actually,
one
yeah,
Go
go.
ahead.
that's one habit that I'm planning to make for myself is to just be more grateful for myself. The past maybe year, if I can share this, it's very like serious now, but I think I cried the most in 2022 in terms of how harsh I was on myself.
Cue dramatic
I always
music.
found myself saying things like oh, I'm not good enough, or
Mhm.
like I can't do this. Like why do you like, especially I shout out to brother Danford, but he's the person that's like heard all these things to me, but like from me, but I was always like, I can't do it. Like why is it me? Like this feels like it's beyond me. Like I'm not good enough for this. And then towards the end of the year, I finally found it in me to just be, just be grateful, to be content with what I am now,
Yeah.
because that's enough. I don't need to be more. I don't need to be less.
Like wherever you are
Especially,
right now is good.
it's perfect.
Yeah, it's good.
There's
Yeah.
and I always remind myself in terms of my spiritual well-being is that wherever I am now, it's where God wants me to be. And I
Mhm.
shouldn't
Mhm.
ask for more, or I shouldn't complain for more, or I shouldn't complain for less. I shouldn't cry that
Yeah.
you know God's expecting so much from me, because he knows that I can do it.
You
That's
can
something
do
that
it.
we always get
Yeah.
reminded of, is that
Yeah.
no matter how much we don't believe in ourselves, the first thing we should remember is that God believes in us. And
Yeah.
that's where I think that's my kind of habit that I'm making now, is that I'm reminding myself that whatever I am, that God's proud of me. I'm doing my
Yeah.
best, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
No,
one
but
thing. And then
I really love that for you at the Chloe, because it's and especially at the Angelica too. You're the habit that you mentioned. I feel like um a lot of people in our generation, we're
Needed
very
that.
critical. We're very critical,
Mhm.
and we're very hard on ourselves.
for
And
sure.
Yeah.
from time to time, I feel like sometimes we just really need that one positive outlook in our life, and that if that's what we're all kind of hoping for every single day, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That positive outlook. But to get that positive outlook that we keep looking for, it really has to start with us. So to hear that habit of yours, it's a really great groundbreaking type of goal that you've set for yourself, and also for our viewers to hear. And for Ate Chloe, what you mentioned, we can really relate that. I feel like, someone once told me this, I think it was one of my atas, but she said that 2022 was the year of silent battles. And there was a lot that we have gone through, and we've gone through it personally. We may not have shared it with a lot of people,
Yeah.
but it's the year of silent battles. So it was hard, but now that everyone was able to, I feel like 2023 is where we change it all up. We gotta the main character development vibes. Come on.
Yes.
You're the main
Oh,
character
yeah.
now.
Yeah. I also
Really,
think
no.
it's a lot about self-love too, and just
Yeah.
loving who you are at every stage you're in life. So whether you're doing well or not, just loving yourself, because if you really do love yourself, the way you talk to yourself will be really positive and really uplifting, so that way you can really grow
Exactly.
your confidence, and you can really work on developing who you are as a person if you look at
Yeah.
it in a
Mhm.
positive.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree. It's like giving yourself a chance every day, every time na you either succeed or fail. The last episode that we have as well, fail to succeed. Whatever the
Mhm.
outcome is for everything that you
Mhm.
do, as long as you've given your best or your efforts and everything, and it's all about you as a person. It's all about giving yourself that recognition na ginawa mo to
Mhm.
for this
Ginawa mo 'to.
specific goal that you have, specific plan
Yeah.
that you have, or task
Mhm.
assigned to you. So it's about recognizing yourself talaga first,
And
'di ba?
Yeah.
it's really hard, no? Para lalo na sa mga taong mga overachievers, parang
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, for
yeah.
sure.
konting
Yeah.
bagsak lang, "Ay, ano ba 'yan, parang ano ba 'yan, hindi ko
Kasi
masyadong
hindi
nagalingan."
lang din
Pero
kasi about
Yeah.
yourself, 'di ba? Nandun din kasi yung parang
mhm,
iisipin mo yung people around you who have set
Mhm.
their
mhm.
expectations on what you
Mhm.
can do.
Yes.
Kaya
Yeah.
sometimes there comes the doubt that we have in ourselves na kaya ba natin gawin. Yun, nakakaapekto talaga siya. And it's
Exactly.
a problem na hindi lang isolated to certain people like overachievers. But to manage those things, maganda yung habit na gustong i-develop ni Angelica. To be
Mhm.
grateful and
Mm.
to enjoy whatever
Self-affirmation.
you're doing.
Yeah.
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 Overthinking everything. I think that's
Oo,
one thing na magandang i-develop ng lahat.
habit.
Stop overthinking
Stop
things.
overthinking,
Yeah.
tama na.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, for
So,
sure.
Ate Ina, I
Mm.
know, and as to the rest of our panels, of course, but since our topic is about what our habits are for 2023, ikaw naman,
Mm.
Ate Ina, how do you plan on making these habits stick on your list for this year? How do you plan on achieving the habits that you have set for yourself?
Ayun, actually 'di ba sobrang ano nga nung habit na gusto kong i-develop is creating a schedule. So I'm
Mhm,
planning to utilize all the technologies available para ma-set ko yung goal ko in track.
Yes.
Like
mhm.
Mhm.
using apps that will help me follow the
Mm.
schedule that I set for
Ang
myself.
dami,
That's one thing. Yeah, ang dami naman ngayon, 'di ba? Iba't ibang productivity apps available
Yeah.
na pwede natin magamit to help us follow the schedule that we need to follow. And of course, ito gusto kong i-share na yung pananalangin din kasi if you don't I mean, if you don't incorporate whatever you're doing, or you don't, I mean, if you don't include God in your plans in whatever you're doing, hindi ka talaga magtatagumpay eh.
oo.
It's His
Yes, that's
guidance pa
true.
rin para magawa mo yung dapat mong gawin. Kasi nangyayari yung parang you have all the means, you have the capacity to do a certain task or a certain thing, pero hindi mo siya nagagawa kasi you didn't do it with His guidance. So I think
Mhm.
para ma-proceed ko siya, you have to do it with God. Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
so true.
I think
Mhm.
just to add on to that, Ina mentioned prayer. And one of the biggest lessons I actually learned in 2022 was that when you're praying, don't just pray for material blessings. Don't even just
Yeah.
pray just for the things you want for the future. You also should pray for things that you want to um, fix within yourself internally. So pray for patience, pray for a good heart, pray for understanding, praying
Yeah.
for, being able to forgive other people, all those things,
Mhm.
and to just really focus also on your spiritual well-being and really also pray for that as well.
Yeah. I wanted to add on to that before we sort of end off this part, is that, even sometimes when you pray, I know this happens to me a lot. There are days where you don't really know what to say.
Yeah.
And there are times where I would just close my eyes and, you're preparing to pray. And then all of a sudden, you just get hit with this wave of emotion and I
Oh
just
yeah.
cry. And they said it's like one of the things that are very, very powerful because you know that God is there with you and he's pretty much
Exactly.
answering like your prayers without you even trying to break out a word, or you're just thinking about what you're about to pray for and he just answers it. So um
Exactly.
it's such a powerful thing, and
Mm.
that sort of sets us up for like our next question, which kind of ties it all in because I know we've been learning all of our hosts here, and I wanted to ask
Mhm.
Ate Ina because what is something that you'll take away from us, like our other hosts here, like to be able to achieve your habit for the year 2023?
To be able to achieve my habit, I think na-intro ko na siya kanina, di ba? Like, what we do for the podcast. Actually, guys, I wanted to share this to all our viewers and listeners that producing podcast episodes, hindi siya basta-basta lang. We go through a lot of process preparing for each recording, for each episode. There's a series of meetings, and then we brainstorm for everything. We practice, we talk a lot kasi syempre it's a podcast, so we need to talk about a lot of things. And then of course along the way, while planning everything, we also have a lot of notes. We do prepare a rundown.
Yes.
Tapos meron din tayong schedule or calendar nga na fina-follow, may task list. Kaya and then we, aside from doing podcasts, we have our personal lives, we have our church duties, we have our work and school. So ang dami nating pinagsasabay-sabay. So it's one example of what I wanted to look at. Yun yung gusto kong i-share na that's what inspired me to make this the habit that I wanted to develop this year for myself. Kaya for everyone who's watching or listening na merong similar habit na gustong i-develop sa amin. Like yung sa akin nga, I wanted to create a schedule and actually follow it. I wanted to say na everyone's struggling sa pag-balance ng iba't ibang aspects ng buhay nila, pero we can make things work. We can be organized as long as we have discipline and we incorporate everything in our prayers. Yeah.
Exactly. Tiin na talaga.
Iba
The advice.
No, si Ate Ina talaga nagsasabi.
Guys.
Kasi alis na si Ate Ina, di ba? So,
Oo nga.
Ate Ina, thank you for joining us.
I have
for,
another appointment.
See, she's keeping organized.
Yeah.
You know,
Organized, guys.
She started with her
Oh.
habits already.
She's living the
so-
habit
Yes,
right
already
now.
working.
That's
Yeah.
so true.
She's eating the frog.
She's eating the
Teka, so,
frog.
Eating frog.
Ate
Eating the
Ina,
frog
ikaw
Nakain
naman
niya yung leg.
yung mga yung outro mo, Ate Ina. So go. Ano yung mga special greetings mo? Happy New Year ulit. Let's go.
Okay. So guys, thank you for being with us again for another episode of INCRadio podcast. And please make sure to always watch and listen to our episode every Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11:30 Philippine time. On INC Radio DZEM 954 kilohertz, or watch our full episode on YouTube through INC Radio official YouTube channel, and to go directly to our own playlist for the podcast episode and to listen and watch to our previous episodes, there's incradiopodcast.net. And I hope to see you again on the next episodes. And make sure
We'll see you
nakain
soon.
kayo.
Ate Ina. Yes, we'll see you soon, Ate
Ate
Ina.
Bye, Ate Ina.
And also, if you're actually listening, I mean, we're past the 30-minute mark now, but if you're listening now, it just means that you're listening to our full episode. But yeah, the first 30 minutes will always be live on every Saturday at 11 a.m. Philippine time. There's too many time zones between the six of us, so I'm just not gonna try. But yeah, watch out for that. That's really
and
exciting.
like I know we kind of went too fast with the questions there because Athena had to go, but we wanted to sort of backtrack a little bit where we wanted to ask, how are you planning to make these habits you have on your list stick, pretty much? Because I know, January rolls around and then everybody's like, oh yeah, I have all these New Year's resolutions, I have all of these habits, I'm gonna fulfill them throughout the year. And then in between the lines they're like, maybe I could do this next year,
you start to backtrack on your own.
Yes, we're
on
gonna
your own
ask the big
plans.
question, which is, how are you planning to make sure you stick to this habit? Exactly. Jacon, sige, eat the frog ka ha. Sige.
Eat the frog. Parang siguro dito ka incorporate yung isang habit din na gusto kong mas lalong ma-develop and magawa, yung brain dumping. Alam mo yung brain dumping, iba? It's like your
Ang daming terms si
Oh.
Jacob.
Oo
Yeah.
Grabe, ang
nga.
And
daming
Gen Z
term.
kasi.
It's a Gen
Gen Z
Z thing, guys.
kasi,
Like,
bunso
come on,
Ayan.
come
No,
on.
no,
Brain
no.
dumping. Okay,
But
sige, sige.
Parang
brain dumping,
Sige,
mahilig
dump it
talaga
on us.
mahilig si Kuya Jaycon magbasa kasi. Kaya marami
Ginip
siya.
like
Yes.
brain dumping is like you're transferring your thoughts into something tangible. For
Yes.
example, journaling, basically. Ganyan. So I want to do that.
So,
So
parang
parang yung mga,
computer to USB, gano'n.
oo, parang ganun.
So
There's
many
a-
analogies today.
But there are a lot of things na related to brain dumping. It's either you do journaling, yung parang gusto mo talaga isulat yung gusto mong task or your goals, or maybe bago ka matulog, parang i-refresh mo muna kung ano yung mga ginawa mo within the day. You want to write it
Yeah.
down, or even in the morning, write your dreams on a book. Parang ganun yung brain dumping. Tapos
Dreams
gusto
and
ko
aspirations in
dreams, your
life.
Follow your
aspirations.
dream.
Follow,
Dream.
follow your
It's
dream.
those
And
it's those cliche like posters that you see that you buy at like a
like on a
home goods
mug.
store. It's like follow your dreams.
Follow your dream. Communication is the key. Time is
Yeah.
gold. Di ba?
Yeah. No, pero those are like what what Ate Angelica was saying, like words that motivate you, diba? Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
gotta be more
Start
positive
simple.
to yourselves. Those are some things
Mm-mm.
that you can also incorporate. But yeah,
Yeah.
go.
Mm.
Yeah, going back on brain dumping, something that I want to do as well is that I want to keep it to myself. Parang secret lang. Kung ano yung mga isusulat ko dun with goals and everything. Kasi I've read this parang psychological study na once kapag masyado mo raw sinasabi to a lot of people your goals, parang most likely hindi siya mangyayari kasi parang sinasabi mo na sa kanila eh. So parang feeling mo ginagawa mo na siya although hindi pa naman. Parang you're already taking the step even though you're not. So parang ganun yung nangyayari. I wanna keep my goals to myself hanggang sa makamit ko sila bago ko parang sabihin na, uy, may nagawa akong ganito or kaya may
Mm.
na-achieve akong
Yeah.
ganito. So that's what I want to do to make my eating the frogs and eating the elephants,
I
be
think that's really
tangible.
good because we're so used to telling everybody everything that
Mhm.
when we start to keep things to ourselves and not necessarily go through the entire journey, we tell for me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I did that same thing where I actually like to keep those bigger goals to myself, and then when I do achieve them, that's when I get to tell everybody. It's almost like a surprise.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love a good surprise, as in I love giving, like, gift giving. I love to surprise my friends with gifts. But right now I don't have money, so that's on hold.
Next year na lang.
Oo nga,
Next year na lang
year.
yan.
But no,
We're in our broke era, girl.
exactly. But
That's why
the
we're gonna be
whole-
financially smart. And we're gonna
exactly
be
at the
Right,
LJ,
right.
we're in the
know?
right mindset. But
We'll be in
brain
our
dumping,
bountiful era, girl, next year.
brain dumping is something that I actually love to do. I have it on my tablet and I just write whenever. It's almost like people call it a stream of consciousness where I just put down every single idea that
Every
I
single
have
thing. Yeah.
on a piece of paper, and then I just exhaust it because
Yeah, and it's also a
sometimes
way para hindi ka ba overwhelmed, diba?
exactly,
Mm-mm.
because I'm like that. I feel like I take a lot of, like, I have a lot of thoughts and I have to sort of vomit that out somewhere, and the best way for me to do that is by ing it to a piece
Dumping
of
it.
paper.
Yeah.
That's I guess when I, so how do I say this, when I enact the goals that I want, the habits that I want to do, I always have I have a bunch of techniques and I can always just pick which one applies
Anything.
to which. So
Mm.
another one of my goals this year is to make it a habit to read every day. And the way that I do that is by just keeping track of it. I either tell someone, so I'm telling you now, I want to read every day. So having people keep me accountable for my goals is also a really good technique. There's
Mhm.
also just keeping track of it. I know there's this big trend going around with bullet journaling and just journaling, having a reading tracker, having a
Yeah.
checklist of every single day of this year and just checking it when I've read. It doesn't have to be so specific, like, oh, read 100 pages every day. For me, it's something like that because that's my kind of measurable that's my measurable technique. But for others it could be, oh, read for 30 minutes a day, or read a certain, like, read
Chapter.
30 minutes before, exactly, read a whole
Mm.
chapter. It doesn't have to be pages or time, whatever sticks to you, I guess. And um another one is to be more grateful to myself. That's another habit that I want to make. And like what I mentioned before, the way I'm going to do that is I have a lot of tasks at hand and I get very insecure.
Mm.
I always doubt myself. So I just talk to myself. I make it a habit to be like, okay, you can do this. If anyone can do this, it's you. So just do it. You don't be scared. Don't worry about
Do it,
anyone
girl.
else.
Got it.
Go,
Just, you
girl.
got this. And
Girl.
then I might look like a crazy person from outside. You just hear me talking to myself like, I got this. You got this.
You
But
got this, girl. Fighting.
exactly.
Fighting.
Like a pep talk
Imagine,
before
I imagine
you
at the Chloe walking down the street and like, you got this.
You got this. You got this.
You got this, girl.
If I'm just feeling the good positive emotions, then I got this.
Sabi
You
ni,
know,
yung pumunta ako
it's
sa Australia, sabi ni Ate Chloe, you got this. Sabi ko, thank you, I do.
and I was like, no, I was talking to myself. Sorry,
I'm talking to myself.
not you.
You don't
And
got
then
this.
I guess
but-
you guys can tell now that Ate Chloe is a bookworm out of the
Yeah.
whole group.
Yeah,
Right?
she is.
If she's not
Bookworm.
replying,
Loves
she's
growing.
probably reading.
it's either she's
It's
reading or
growing.
You can just,
sleeping.
Shout out
look behind her.
Shout out to Kuya Christian, because he
Out of books.
expanded
Not
he
your books.
expanded my bookshelf, my book
Wow.
collection.
That's
There's
why-
another
that's
two
why-
additional.
Mayaman. Oh.
This is why I
Yeah.
got into
My
reading.
pera.
This is why I got
That's
into
our goal
reading
for
with
2023,
Chloe.
guys. To be
Talaga
stable
ba?
and have money.
To be stable and buy books.
Yeah.
Be stable and buy books.
That's my quote for the year.
Be stable and buy books.
No, yeah, like the reason why I got into reading, like one of the books that I'm reading right now currently is actually at the Chloe's recommendation, and I know Angelica and Jake can read as well. Christian, he reads his medical books, so
He reads
He only has his
articles.
med book, so
Also
hold on, I
read.
can't
his
relate.
med
Counts,
books.
that counts.
If you guys want to talk medical stuff, let me know.
Talk medical too.
No, but yeah, I mean, Ate Chloe, thank you for sharing that as well. That was like really great way of being able to stick to your habits for 2023. And I think we didn't also hear from Ate Angelica. How would you stick with your habits for 2023?
Work.
Okay, so like besides what Ata Chloe said with like journaling and then like writing stuff down, I think for me it's surrounding myself with the right people, because I think that you should always surround yourself with good company. One thing that I learned recently is that not every relationship or friendship that you let go of is a loss. Sometimes you just outgrow certain
Yes.
people, or sometimes your values start to change and you feel that the people that you might be with, that you might spend a lot of time with, their values might not necessarily align with yours, and that's when you need to know that it's time to let go. And so when you surround yourself with good people, that's one thing to appreciate about your life.
No, really.
And
For
no bad.
example, for you guys, right?
Really?
You guys, I
Truly.
consider you guys really good people, and I love always spending
ka?
time with you guys and surrounding myself with you guys. And
Yeah.
so when I'm surrounded with good people and I realize, okay, these are the people in my life, it helps me to love my life a lot more. I love you guys in being in my life.
Wait naman.
Grabe naman yan. Pero totoo nyo, because
We love you
there
to
are-
Ate Ina, who nasa command.
But actually that's I can actually relate to that. Thank you for sharing that, Angelica. It's true what she said to our viewers and listeners. We are human beings, and especially for humans, we are prone to change. And sometimes our values change on a daily basis, and sometimes we outgrow the people that we always hang out with, no matter if we grew up with them when we were little, or even new
Mm.
friends that or acquaintances that we have met along the way. We definitely have our own experiences to share and have different goals and mindsets. So, for us, especially as members of the Church of Christ, we have our own priorities. And sometimes a lot of our friends don't really relate to us in that way, because sometimes we're
Yeah.
too busy for church and we always find ourselves being at church and we can't hang out with them. Well, that's their loss that they lost you, because they could have joined the church as well and be friends with you and hang out with your church friends, that kind of thing.
And that's
It's
so true.
something that it's something that I experienced throughout all of last year. I know every single one of you knows this. I've had my story times, but um when we do say things like this, I get it when people say it's easier said than done,
Mhm.
because it can be like what Christian said. It's so hard for us to sort of embrace change,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we want to always keep it like consistent, that when there's something that changes like that changes in our lives, our first impression of it is to
It's like
just
you're
to
overwhelmed
get
right away.
defensive. Yeah,
Yeah, like,
exactly.
Yeah.
no,
Like, no,
Like
I
you
don't
don't
want
want
that.
to
I don't want
change.
to change.
Like you
But
try
Not
to
then
me.
reject
Or you're
them, like
afraid
you
objectively,
of
can't.
it.
you always have to
Mm.
think, the question I always ask myself is it going to benefit you in the long run? In 10 years time, when you look back, are you going to be proud of the choices that you made?
Mm-hmm.
If it's something more short term, in 2 months time, is this going to be something that will benefit you? Are you going to be in a better place doing
Yeah.
this?
No,
And
Yeah.
most
that's
of the
very
time the answer
true.
is actually
Yeah.
yes. you
Yeah.
know and we just need to give ourselves that push,
Mm-mm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it's not bad. We're always especially when we're in an environment that we've outgrown, um when we ask ourselves, is this going to benefit me anymore? If it's no, then it's okay to let it go. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
it. It just means
Yeah.
that there's something better for us in the future. It gives
Yeah.
us hope.
Sobrang ano 'no, sobrang laking factor talaga in terms of
Yeah.
changes. Yung sinabi nga ni Ate Angelica na people talaga matter because there are people that really comes for a reason, for a season, or even for a lifetime, and hindi
Yeah.
talaga natin alam. And it's hard to accept that talagang may mga taong aalis sa buhay mo, pero
See,
That's
no, no,
what
no.
it is.
But,
It
but
is
the
what it
thing is,
is.
no, no. But the thing is here for our listeners and viewers, the way I look at life is that you are the main character of your own
of your
story, and everyone
story.
else
Yes, yes,
everyone else is
Slay.
just
Yeah.
everyone else is just the supporting characters.
I
So
exactly.
it's
know, right?
it's your life, and sometimes you have to think long term about the decisions that you make on a daily basis, how that's going to benefit you. So whether friends stick or they stay, they are just supporting characters in your own story, and you're the
Yeah.
main character
Mm.
writing your own story. So,
Exactly.
it is
And
your character development through the years and the experiences
exactly.
and the friendships that you make.
Yeah.
And
And
especially tying church stuff with that, as a member of the Church of Christ, you are definitely the main character of your own story.
yeah,
That's right.
because at the end of the day, we know that God thinks of us. We are special to God. And
Yeah.
sometimes we might not be treated like that in this world, but it doesn't mean that God doesn't love us anymore. It just means that he has
Yeah.
something better in store for us. And remember, everybody, if they're going to stay, they're going to stay.
And if they're
If
gonna
you
leave,
don't
they're
have
gonna
to think
leave.
about exactly. This is something that I've learned where it doesn't like I've always thought to myself, people don't like me, or I am not good enough to be liked by these people. Like, honestly, the first time I met you all, I was always thinking, like, oh, they probably don't like me. Like, what if I didn't make a good first impression? Like, what if I'm
Yeah.
not a likable person? These kinds of thoughts, even now, still flood into my head. But I always think, um, I learned to accept that when people care about you, truly care about you, they are going to stay no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
They accept
That's
that
true.
I am just a person, I am just a human
Mm.
being. They cannot expect me to act perfect. And when I do sometimes make mistakes, they're not going to leave. They're not going to
Yeah.
be the ones who leave just because
Mm.
I made a mistake because I'm human,
Mm.
Yeah.
so
I
remember
kind
that.
of
If they
Yeah.
want to stay, they're going to stay. If they're not worth it, they're not worth it.
They're not worth it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And like I like what Ate Chloe was saying earlier about how when it comes to change, like we reject that change because we're sort of at that sense of comfortability is
Yeah.
what I like to say, right? We I think it's just humans, like we don't like being put into uncomfortable situations. So as
Of
much as
course.
possible, we're gonna try to drag ourselves back to a level of comfort because that's where
Yeah.
we're
What
comfortable
you're
at,
used
right?
to. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to grow that way if you want to keep staying at a comfortable space because you're not allowing yourself to grow anymore at that point. Sometimes comfortability is a sign for you to change because
Uh-huh.
it's too comfortable, pretty
Comfortable.
much is the best way I could say it. And that's sort of something that I've sort of been realizing throughout 2022 is like there are times in my life where I was like, this feels too comfortable and I don't feel like I'm growing at all. And I remember I touched
Redundant
base
na,
with
no?
Angelica, yeah, with Angelica before about a certain situation that I was finding that like we're not growing anywhere. Like this whatever this is, it's not going anywhere, and we need change. And sometimes change can be harsh. And like what Chloe said, right? We try to reject it. We don't want it because it's not comfortable. It's uncomfortable, literally. But it is what it is. So with me naman, with planning to stick on my habits for 2023, um again, I like what we said in the beginning, like about our research there. They said, start small. So like what I said earlier, what I've been doing is just kind of put a little bit of money away. I started with doing $20 so far, so it's not too like big, and it's also not too like little, because like I know before I was reading that if you put down a penny and at the end of the year, that's
That's a
$365.
lot.
Like
It accumulates.
that's a
That's
lot.
money. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's money.
if you think about that, right? Like one
Teka,
It's all about perspective.
one penny. No, but I mean $1.
you mean $1?
You're only gonna
See,
save
you guys were so absent-minded, you didn't even realize what I was saying.
Yeah.
you're gonna save
You know,
$3.
$365. Parang ang laki nun, no? 1 penny.
You
At the end
actually
of the
saved
year,
up.
1 penny. Every day is only going to be $3.65.
ano ba yan?
Wait. Ulit. Okay, I'm gonna
Ulitin natin
retake
yan.
that.
Ulitin natin yan, ha? Ulitin natin yan. Kailangan natin maulit yan. Sorry, my mind is like, I have like 6% left on this laptop. Like, hurry up, guys. Go.
But anyways, yeah, so for every dollar that you save every day, that's gonna give you $365 at the end of the year. So don't save 1 penny because that's gonna give
Don't save 1 penny. We can save
that's gonna give
$1.
you $3.65. But
You still saved
yeah, so
something. Sorry.
She was so confident about it too. 1 penny a day.
correctly.
$365.
we all just accepted it. We were like, yeah.
We're like, yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, beautiful. Sige.
So for the year 2023, we're gonna learn math.
Sabihin mo ulit yun, tumatawa ka eh. Yung seryoso.
So, one of the things that I wanted to do for 2023 to make my habit stick, I've been saving, a few dollars every now and then for my paycheck. So I started with $20. And there's those sayings, and I'm sure you've probably seen like blog posts about it. How when you
She can't do it. She can't.
I got to.
Hindi
Pwede
mo
na
kaya.
yun. Just leave it in. It's gonna be bloopers. It's gonna be
It's
good.
fine.
Okay.
Okay,
all
we're
right,
moving
okay,
on.
Move on.
That's what we do
Christian,
in
ikaw na.
2023. We move
Okay.
on.
We move on in 2023.
Well, anyway, thank you for sharing at the LJ.
Of course.
Sometimes we don't get the maths right, but we're not good at maths.
Exactly.
It's the
It's a
intention
habit
that
that we can
matters.
grow in.
It's
It's the
okay.
heart. That's what
Yeah, it's a
matters.
thought. Yeah, it's a thought that
It's
matters.
the
But
it's the fact that you saved up that matters.
Yeah,
Exactly.
even one penny per
Exactly.
day.
You related it to your habit, being financially smart. So nakasave up ka,
financially
Exactly.
yun
smart.
naman. That's all that matters. For
And
me,
also
Me
think
like,
too.
about also sorry, I just wanted to add, also think about what you're spending on because sometimes you're like, do I really want this or do I just want
Oh,
it? Like
yeah.
I saw
Or
there's
that's
a
just
fine
for
line
yeah.
Christian's
between
so
face.
for Ate LJ,
It's just for clout.
it's just basically knowing what you need at the moment, or do you really want it just at that
yeah.
moment.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
How
that's what
about
exactly.
I
you,
would tell
Chris?
myself. For me,
Yeah.
how I
Yeah.
What's a
want to
habit?
achieve
How are
that.
you going to enact your habit? I was gonna say reenact.
Reenact.
That's not the
Hindi na
right
ganap.
word.
Hindi na ganap. um, for me, I mean, I mentioned that I wanted to take more time to myself about doing self reflections from time to time this year. Um, I feel like a big way to do that, and especially kind of what I'm about to say, it kind of also relates to everything. So it kind of does wrap it up the all of our topics for today. But one of the biggest things that I want to do to achieve my goals and habits for this year is the same thing that I did at the start of 2022, where we had a Kadiwa meeting and they asked us to write a letter to our future self. And for that, we wrote the letter to ourselves and then we gave it back to our Kadiwa president, and they held on to it for the entire year. And then surprisingly, at the end of 2022, or towards the end, right before I left for Australia back in early December, they gave it to us right before our last meeting of the year. And I actually read it, and I was very surprised because of the things that I read, that I wrote down at the beginning of the year. Um, a lot of the things that I said in my letter, I was actually able to accomplish. So that was very surprising. A lot of those goals that I didn't think that I was going to stick to, I was able to accomplish. And it really helped me become more realistic of the things that I want to achieve for the year. I also want to bring that up that, whenever you're making habits or goals, especially for the new year, you really got to think about making it realistic. And you can't have such a big goal that you're not going to achieve, and that it's so overwhelming that you're just going to put it off until the next year again, and then same thing happens, and then it becomes a cycle, and then what are you really doing to yourself? You're just playing yourself at that point. So writing that letter is a good way. I still have to do that for 2023, so definitely maybe after this recording, I'm definitely going to do that to myself.
Yeah.
And write down, I want to challenge myself more in terms of achieving the goals of being of the ones that I want for this year. There's just so many things in my life that I want to get out of the way and start get the ball rolling in things. But so definitely there are a lot of things of that. And kind of to tie in, surrounding ourselves with good company, that too is a big deal for me, and just having those people that I need in my life to remind me of the goals that I have. Yeah, that's about it.
Aw, I love that. I'm really proud of you, Chris. If anyone who doesn't know, I think it's just over a year that I've known Christian, and he's grown a lot. Not in height, but
Okay, okay. I'm still taller than Ate Chloe for everyone.
exactly. Anyone's taller than me.
Everyone. No, but yeah, in all seriousness, that's and I feel like for those tuning in and listening, I definitely would recommend writing a letter to yourself,
Yes.
dear
Mhm.
future you, and then put it away or give it to someone and ask them, hey, can you hold on to this until the end of the year, and then see what you can accomplish. Really sit down and think before writing anything else. What can you achieve for this year, and how can I achieve it, and is it realistic enough for me to be able to do at the time and the time span that I have to give myself. Give yourself that time span. Is it achievable in
Yeah.
such a time span? And that's
Yeah.
pretty much it. And
We're
hopefully,
looking forward to seeing how you. I hope you can share that with us at the end of the year.
I
Something to look
actually,
forward to.
I really want to share that letter because I was
Yeah.
very surprised. It was a good feeling to know that you checked off the things that you said you were gonna do.
Ah,
Um,
true.
And
Exactly.
I wrote down 5 things, and out of the 5 things, I was able to achieve 4, and that's not
That's
bad,
great.
you know.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
That's
good.
yeah,
awesome.
and you're
That's a
not,
lot.
as someone who, as humans, we have so many things that in this life that we want to achieve.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you don't need to achieve every single one of your goals right away.
Yeah.
It's okay if
Yeah.
you got 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5,
That's
or
great.
even sometimes
Or like
1 out of 5.
50% of that
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
okay too.
you don't have to achieve every single thing that you list down, but if you get a good amount out of it, or at least getting off one off that list, that's already a big
Yeah.
achievement for you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I think the last person we haven't asked, Angelica.
No,
I know
you
Angelica,
does
actually asked
right.
me already.
Yeah, I should do it
oh, did
already.
I?
Angelica, di ba?
I don't know. I was just
Oo,
like,
I
mag-extra
Angelica,
na
di ba you
tayo.
also write
Sige,
letters?
mag-extra na tayo, actually.
okay,
Alauna na eh.
fine.
Okay,
Isang
everyone, real
oras na
quick.
tayo eh.
Real quick, guys. What's your takeaway? Just one sentence takeaway. Let's go around the room. Okay, at the LJ. We'll start with you.
Ako
What's your
agad?
takeaway?
I'm not ready. Like
Oh,
my
sige,
Okay,
brain's
let's pass it
sige.
on
working.
to Jaycon.
Start over.
Jaycon,
Jagan
go
muna,
first.
jagan muna.
Si Jaycon muna.
Wag yung sa'yo wag yung eat the frog. Basta yung like
Oo.
takeaway from someone else.
My takeaway from someone else. Siguro I love what Ate Angelica really said about self-affirmation. It makes me wanna, love myself more, to not be pressured, especially with society's expectations of me, with of my parents' expectations of me, and of course to always remind myself to just take everything one step at a time, and we'll get there. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I think for me, it was at the LJ's actually. That's why I called you
Oh.
Right?
first. Yeah. My biggest takeaway
The
was
penny a
actually
day
yeah.
or
No.
Penny a
For
day.
like hindi yung penny a day. The being financially stable and trying to like save up and learning those skills, right? Money management, things like that. I think that's something that is really important for me, especially with my age right now. Just learning how to really assess my expenses and really reflect on whether this is really a necessity or whether it's something that I actually don't really need. It's something more of what I want.
Ooh.
Chloe, how about you?
Mine, honestly, I'm gonna go with something that Christian said. It's to not be so harsh on myself. I think not only from this episode, but since our friendship like started, is to be accepting of myself and not be harsh on myself. That's my takeaway. But yeah, how about you, Angelica?
Ay,
How about you again? I'm just throwing it back to you all the time.
sige. Balik sa akin. Okay. Now that it's back to me, I will give it back to Kuya Christian. What's your
Yeah.
takeaway?
And I will pass the ball. No, I'm kidding.
Saan
No,
po?
my takeaway is actually I would have to do it from Ate Ina and Ate Chloe. Mainly because when we were talking earlier about being the main character and showing main character development, that's different. That's a big thing that I want to emphasize for myself this year. That we have to be the writers of our own story, and everything else just kind of folds in on itself. And we just have to we just need to be able to learn to focus on ourselves and to grow as an individual, and to also experience the good things, and to also be surrounding ourselves with the ones that really matter to us and who supports us along the way.
Yes.
I
Is
love
there
that.
anyone
And
else? Oh no.
Uy, umuutot na mic. Umuutot yung mic
Ano
mo.
yung nangyari?
Umuutot yung
no.
mic mo.
Nabigla ata yung mic mo sa penny a day.
Yeah.
Hindi kinaya.
It became too emotional too. It's up
okay,
to
we're
the-
back. We're back. We're back to regular. We're back to regular operation. So, for my final takeaway, it ties in with what Ate Ina said in the very beginning with her goals, is that to include God in your plans. And with that being said, we also have a Christian value takeaway for you all, which ties into what Ate Ina said about including God in your plans. So, as members of the Church of Christ, we are taught to always include our Almighty God in our plans. Create a time and space where you can have your own personal prayers. Some of the habits you might want to pick up this year might not be meant for you, or you're lacking in inspiration or that push to pull through that habit you want to create for yourself this year. So that is why we include God in your plans, and He will always provide, and He knows the path He has created for you. So I don't think I can top that anymore because it
Right.
pretty much ties in our whole entire episode for today.
And we hope that you take these tips and have learned something from our personal experiences from this episode. And I know there was a lot to hear from our panel today, but it was, every one of us have our own experiences, and it's so great to hear all of the things that we've experienced in our lives. But to be able for us to share this with you, especially that 2023, we're bringing out the biggest and the brand newest content that we can give for our INC Radio podcast. So for everyone, just stay tuned for all of that.
Yes.
Exactly.
Mm,
Oh, sorry.
That is great.
It's okay. Go on.
I cut. And see. Okay. Let's create and learn more wonderful things this 2023. We would love to hear from all of you. So please reach out for any comments, suggestions, or questions that you may have. Please contact us via Telegram. That's 0964-243-7380. And once again, that's a Philippine number, by the way, 0964-243-7380.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
we're on
INC
INCRadio podcast.
We're
here
here
to
to
hear.
hear. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year,
Happy
guys.
New Year,
Happy
everyone.
New Year.
We hope you create good and awesome goals for 2023.
Yes.
We hope
Yes.
you develop habits, good habits. For
And I hope
Eat your
you take
frogs,
away something
everybody.
from us.
Eat your frogs. Bye,
Eat your
everyone.
frogs.
Bye,
everyone.
Main character
Everybody.
vibes. Main character vibes.